Siraj, Cargill and the agri side of your business is anyway, as agri commodities business, there is volatility in that business. We all know about that. But then you were in a market like India where there is volatility also. It comes in other flavors, right? There's political, there's economic, there is social, policy related, legal, regulations change, taxations, retrospective, whatever it is. There's so many different kind of volatilities that you face operating in a country like India, and especially for a multinational, leading a multinational. So how do you deal with some of those kinds of volatility? So give us a little bit of, and uncertainties together.
Yes, so there is always an uncertainty in the environment. It has actually become even more volatile in the recent times, but going back to the times when we were there, I think the first important step is for a multinational is to build trust with the population, with the society, because the society links into the government, and if you are trusted by the society, the government trusts you too. So while we are building a business, there has to be a parallel effort to build trust. And that trust comes from how you conduct yourself, the causes that you support, the voice that you have, and what does that voice communicate are all areas that help build that trust. But the starting point is the awareness that building business is important, but building trust alongside is also equally important. Because if you don't do that, you do suffer a higher chance of being engulfed by the volatility that surrounds the your operating environment. So how did we do it? One of the early things that we did when we went into the consumer business, we realized that India was a nutrition deficient country. Malnutrition was a big problem for India. We were in the food space, and that is a channel, or that's a space that connects with the largest number of people in the country. And we figured out that we had an opportunity to make a difference by adding nutrition to the product that we were offering to the population. And so Cargill launched or was a pioneer in fortification of edible oils. We did the science, we did the maths, and we realized that fortifying edible oils was something which was good for our population, was good for Cargill, and we launched the sort of Cargill brands with fortified, edible oil fortified with vitamin A, D, and E. What it did was essentially that it gave us what I would call a talking point, an expression of our good intent, and a legacy that we could own. We actually were seen as the pioneers. The government recognized it. Today, if you look at the Indian edible oil market, this happened for us in 2007, 2008. But if you look at the Indian edible oil market, especially the consumer market, most of the brands are today fortifying their oils. And this was an activity which was recognized even by the Fortune magazine as one of the global activities where a business linked itself to the society. So that was one. The second was that Cargill obviously had a large presence globally, had a strong view on how crops were progressing, how markets were moving, and that was the knowledge that we could bring to the country. And we could share that with the government, which could help them in their policy making. So over a period of time, and this requires an effort to go out and meet with people, to express yourself, to carry your views, which are obviously based on the large knowledge bank that Cargill is, and build that conversation with the government and the officials. On the one hand, we were building that conversation with the people through our product. We were building through the various social responsibility activities. We had, being a private company, we did not have this condition. And I think at that time, even the law for doing 2% of your profit as, putting it 2% of your profit to CSR wasn't there. But we undertook it as an activity to build trust with the communities that we were doing business in. So wherever our plants were, wherever our people were, we always made an effort to connect with the community before we started our business, and that takes time. So I used to carry a notion or a thought that India has not just one currency that you need to deal with, which is money, but you have more than one currency, which is patience and influence. And patience, because so anything that you wanted to get done, if it normally would take you 3 years to do, set your target for 5 years, because and set the expectations with your organization outside for 5 years, because very often we go out and say, oh, we can do this and everything is possible and we'll do this, but and then you fail, and you fail and you blame the environment, but at the end of you are losing trust in your larger organization because you're not delivering. So setting the right expectations, leveraging the influence that you build. Influence is also never built in a day. It has to be built over a period of time with consistent actions which are seen as good and generating value for the other side. So we build strong relations in the government. We got them to see the good work that we were doing and build that trust where things could be, the government was supportive and coming forward to help our cause and help our business. And that helped us, one, to grow our business, to build trust with the government and the communities, and then obviously turn profitable thereafter.
So I that's interesting. So, I get how you built that, non-monetary currencies, as you say, with the consumers, with the society at large, with the policymakers at the center, the government and so on, the government at the center and so on, with high-level knowledge inputs. I get that, but in a large country like, be it India, be it China or other countries, is you have to navigate the differences in approaches towards multinational corporation investments, and these approaches are different, at the center level, at the state level, at the local authorities level. And then in India, on top of that, you had to have the priorities and the targets that the local, and state tax collectors and central state revenue people, excise authorities, they all have their own, targets, and they have their own things to attain. So how do you navigate these kinds of differences as a multinational? Right?
So when you take a position that you will not do anything wrong or which is unethical, what it also puts you under pressure is that you then can't afford to do a wrong. And which means that your processes, your systems, your accounting, your way of running your plant, the product that you're putting out in the market has to be flawless. Because trouble comes when you do something wrong or are caught doing something wrong, and then you have to find your way out of that problem. So we took disproportionate care to ensure that we never were caught on a wrong foot. And that requires a large organization commitment, driving the right processes, and everybody in the team, right from this guy at the lowest level, which is the supervisor or the laborer who's packing your product, is part of that effort, because a wrong product or a wrong accounting entry, all these things could get you into trouble. And you do not, by following the straight and narrow path, you do not have too many options on getting those things corrected. So the first step is to be absolutely sure of your operations, of your accounting, of how you deal with people, all your policies. So I think that was the first step.
So you did invest in, certain states around India, right?
Right.
Are there some experiences that you can share? How you are welcome? Did they, sort of enable some single windows for you, or you had to deal with different layers in terms of policy, in terms of bureaucracy, and so on? Any experiences that we can share?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, we built plants in Orissa, we built plant in Gujarat, we built businesses in Karnataka, we built businesses in Punjab. I would say that we got phenomenal support from the local government, the local bureaucracy. Every system has good people, and you need to find those good people. And we found those good people. And you go to look for those people before you start your business or before you start your project. So the whole support system, the ecosystem support for your investment has to be built much before the investment comes in. And, I can, with my hand on my heart, very proudly say that Cargill could build plants across the country, buy land, get the land converted, set, all these large, get permissions to set up all these large facilities without having to do anything that is unethical or was wrong. Because we found the people who were supporting those investments. The state governments want those investments. It's a question of how you project yourself, how you present yourself, what value you can show them is there in your investments, and having those conversations much in advance of before you first break ground for an investment actually is very helpful. I mean, we built facilities in states where there have been multiple changes of government and roles of various people in the bureaucracy, but we always found our supporters and people who believed in our cause and supported us to ensure that we went through our progress flawlessly without having to face difficulties. There were challenges. I mean, I'm not saying that everything went very smooth, but we always had friends or people who saw the value in what we were doing, who supported us and helped us come out of some of those difficult situations. So, as I said, influence being a currency, this is exactly what I meant. When people could see the value that you were bringing and you made the effort to communicate the value that you were bringing, it certainly eases the path that you travel thereafter to build your investment, to put in your investment and build your businesses.
So I understand what you're saying is like, dig your wells before you're thirsty, and do this for investments, and don't rush in without proper preparation, preparing the soil, etc. I understand that. Were there are there some specific instances where you can share with us how some of the states would have facilitated a single window clearance and had anything of that nature, which is like typically we expect multiple levels? Are there examples that you can still share?
Yeah, too recent. I mean, when I say recent, in the my last few years in Cargill, I mean, one was an experience of setting a feed mill in Punjab, in Batinda. Right. We were supported completely by the state government at that time. The Punjab has a single window clearance system. They ensured that everything from getting the land, getting the incentives, getting the clearances, there was always senior bureaucracy which was willing to hold our hand and solve our problems because they saw value in that investment for that region. And so first step was to get them aligned to say that, okay, we are planning to make this investment. We have a choice to make this investment in different places. We would want to make it here. And this is what we require. This is how we will do it. We will ensure that none of our actions are an embarrassment or a cause for concern for the government. And we would expect this kind of support from the government. And that actually happened. And we have a feed mill in Batinda today in Punjab, which was very well supported by the government at that time, and the bureaucracy, which obviously is a permanent. I mean, the government's at the political
government
level.
Servants are there. But I'm a son of a proud son of a government servant, so I know that, right? They outlast all.
That is more consistent, and we found the right people. I mean, they were very good people, extremely supportive, and who saw what we were doing. And the onus that was with us was that we did not do anything that would cause them embarrassment or regret the support that they were giving us. Similar experience in Karnataka, where we found very good support from the people in the government. Both at the political level as well. I mean, imagine buying land, getting it converted from agriculture to industrial, getting the permissions to start construction, getting all the clearances. I think what is important is that when the people in the government and the authorities know that you are going to be conducting your business in a certain way, and you've made your intent very clear, you have demonstrated that you can wait to do the right thing and not push for things to be done just because you want to speed up. So as I said, patience is a virtue or a currency that you need to deploy. Everyone sort of falls in line because at the end of the day, everyone wants to see those investments. They want to see thriving business because it converts to generating employment. And interestingly for us, all our businesses are actually based in the rural areas. So every time we set up a plant anywhere, it had an impact on the local economy. And whether from employment, for small businesses finding reasons to come up there. So there was a good social cause associated with what we were doing, irrespective of us saying it or not. And I think as long as we could showcase it or get people to understand that rationale, we got the support.
Right. So, Siraj, that reminds me of, the speech that you gave in Singapore Management University's couple of years back, where I teach. You spoke on ethical business practices in India, right? Could you share with our viewers and listeners, your experiences in practicing them and some suggestions how to implement them?
So as I said earlier in my conversation just now, that you have to find the right people in the system. There are people who are committed at both the political and the bureaucracy level, who want, if you're able to build the trust that you are doing the right thing, which is good for you, but also good for the state and its people. And it takes time to identify those people. There is, one has been in the country long enough to know how things work. So it is not to say that I have to have an understanding of how the bureaucracy works, how the government works, how permissions are given, and finding the right people. And those right people are inherently good people. And as long as you're able to convince them, and they see that you are coming with a good intent and you intend to do the right thing, they will support you. Okay, so one thing is that very often we make the mistake of starting from the bottom of the government sort of hierarchy. We purposely, as an approach, started from the top. So the first person that we sought support from was the leader of the state, and and the senior level of bureaucracy. And because those are people who are having that larger vision of what is good for the state, what is required with an investment coming in, the impact it will have. And Cargill obviously is a great global brand. So you're not some XYZ going there saying that, I promise this. I mean, we had enough examples of what Cargill has done around the globe to make a difference to geographies where Cargill has gone and invested. So we could share those stories. We could showcase the work that we've done in other places to say that we can replicate that in India too. And we got people to buy into that rationale, and we delivered. So it is not just about making promises or showing off what we've done elsewhere. I think every Cargill plant in India is an example of how well-run plants can be, how we conduct our operations, the practices that we adopt, whether for employee safety, food, the product safety, our concern for the environment, our concern for the whole how we distribute and the processes that we adopt in Cargill. I think all those were demonstration of how a good company functions. And there were enough supporters in the government who saw that value and supported our initiatives and efforts.
So the things that jump out for me, in terms of takeaways for, ethical business practices in India are: one, identify leaders, senior government servants who have a similar point of view and approach to investments as well as business, that it should be ethically done. Two, those people also should be welcoming investments and business into their country, into their states, and so on. The other thing that you mentioned was that have your own people who have a similar set of value systems, and which you train them to do that. Third is, you mentioned that you have the patience and don't be looking for instant business to identify shortcuts. Fourth, you said, is have strong communications, both internally as well as externally, on your processes, your values, your deliverables, as well as what you have delivered, your track record, and so on and so forth. Anything that I have missed out?
No, that's you've captured it very well and summarized it very well. All of those things are critical for, and frankly, if you look at all the successful companies today operating, and specifically the multinationals today, you would find this common across them. I mean, their connect. One more thing probably you can add there is that while we do everything to get our business right, we have to measure the impact we're having on the society
Right.
and contribute to that and focus on building, increasing that impact because aligning the society is important for your business to thrive.
On that very high note, I think we should bring this discussion to an end. Thank you very much. We definitely will call you back to explore other topics of interest, about your experiences in MNCs. Not only that, but the fascinating things that you're currently doing in your current role. So thank you very much, Siraj, for this, spending the time and explaining your experience, how one can navigate the Indian environment as a leader of a multinational corporation. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Venkat. Pleasure speaking to you again.
Thank you for joining us in yet another episode of Move Conversations. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe to the Move Conversations YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get notifications of new episodes. Thank you very much. Till I see you in the next episode. Thank you very much. Have a great day.